All right, looks like we're ready to go live. Let's go ahead and hit it. And we are live, so there we go. I'm a minute early. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drop that stream down. So good morning, everybody. As always, welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Rich Charpentier. I'm the host of this channel, and normally we're talking about drones and imaging and doing some interesting projects for clients. So if you're interested in building your own drone business or your own imaging business, you're welcome to follow along here as we build this business together. So yesterday we actually did another Zoom conference call for the folks on our Patreon channel. I think that one was a lot of fun. And good morning, Mark. Nice to see you here. Mark was one of the folks on yesterday's Zoom as well. We usually have a lot of the folks from the Patreon channel on here as well. Corey, thank you. Glad to know that it's sounding good this morning. We're still using the wireless go-to setup, so I've got this right down here. Good morning, Ray. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in, everybody. And so yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we talked about on our Zoom meeting yesterday for patrons, and we're also going to talk about a couple little other pieces of information as well. Most importantly, after yesterday's meeting, we packed up the truck, we got ready to go out to one more client job site, and the high desert winds bit us in the butt. So the winds can really pick up around here, so flying yesterday was not a great idea. So in the end, we've pushed it out. After this meeting today, I'm going to be heading 27 miles north of town to go do one more property that we just couldn't get done. And so we'll talk about that as well. So we've started doing a lot more raw land work, and we also are doing new builds as well. Time-lapse progression reporting, standard imaging, standard video from the drone. So we cover a little bit of everything here. And of course, you're always welcome to leave comments and questions down below the show notes here. And I usually get back to them within about 48 hours, unless sometimes I miss one or two that slide on by. If I've missed any of your questions or comments, please let me know, and I will be sure to follow up with you. So right now, I'm looking out across one of the raw land sites that we got to fly last week before the winds started just getting stupid. This particular location is one of a number of new pieces of property for sale in the Talking Rock area. So that's North Prescott, Arizona. And off in the distance, you can actually see Granite Mountain here. And so as I've been saying on some recent videos, yes, we're going to be flying again because we've been doing a lot of, behind the screen things. And it's nice to get out there and show some of the flight work, show some of the image capture work, etc. So in the case of this one, I did want to point out a couple of things. So number one, always hesitant about doing the, drawing in potential lines because we're not a survey company here. I have noticed online that there are a lot of other drone service providers who are in fact, putting down rough estimates of property lines, boundary lines, but they're not accurate. So the folks that we've been working with, they are taking the images that we're doing, and they are in fact overlaying some lines. What's nice on this particular set of properties, we've done a lot of vacant land properties, and a lot of them there's no posts, there's no points of reference, and sometimes it's hard to know exactly, hey, where are those boundary markers? In the case of some of these ones in the high desert north of Granite Mountain, we don't have dense forest or anything, which is kind of nice in a way, at least for points of reference for me. So we're on Lightroom right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and take a zoom in here. That white line that you see where my cursor is actually one of the markers. So when we got to each of the locations, take a small walk around the location. We always do that kind of inspection anyways beforehand to make sure there's no gotchas, that we're going to be running into something, power lines or anything. So we always take a closer look before we start our flights. And one of the nice surprises on the properties we were doing last week there was the fact that they do have their boundary lines, and they're visible, and they're even visible from the drone hundreds of feet away. Over to the left here, there's another one, but I'm going to arrow over so that you can actually see it better here. And so off in the distance, once again, there's one of those corners. And what was really nice here is another one of them. So we've got another marker right in here. So these properties are very well marked. So it's kind of easy, you know, for a potential buyer to get a good feel for where things are. If you also check, if I zoom out here, there's another one of the markers right there. So that's awesome, you know, some great points of reference. In addition to that, the other thing that I do beyond just seeing those markers, let's pull up and let's go over to Litchi Mission Hub. So for these particular flights, I've been using Litchi just to mark out areas for myself for where I should be flying, where I should be shooting. So this first property that we're looking at is Doubtful Canyon, kind of an interesting name. And the corners that I have here, once again, not accurate, but I actually took the GPS locations from the Yavapai County tax parcel maps. So I was using their information to actually plot each of these corners for myself so that I knew where I need to be shooting into and what I need to be covering so that we are giving our clients full coverage of the area so that their potential buyers can make some good decisions about which lots they'd like to buy for which awesome views. So the Doubtful Canyon series was the first set we did the other morning. One other thing you will notice is the truck is down here, and we do actually brush the truck out afterward. We also do brush out the realtor sign as well. MLS doesn't want any readable signs out there. This one you can't really read, but we just go ahead and brush it out anyways. One other interesting item to note was the fire hydrant down here. So another thing that I did brush out on the final images for the property folks. And actually, I'm sorry, I decided not to brush out the fire hydrants because that way people will know where they are. I started to when we were doing it, but I did not end up doing that. By the way, before we go any further on this one, so this got shared yesterday with the folks on our Patreon channel. I just wanted to show the winds were slightly crazy for the past couple of days. So we did go out to do another client location on Saturday with some major elevation gain. You can see off to this side. So that's Jody with the helipad, and that's the wind blowing it up against her. So the moment that I put the drone up in the air, it started complaining immediately, you know, that the winds were a little too high. So we ended up scrapping that one. And the one other item, since we were talking about those markers, for these new properties that are coming up for us and for a new larger project, we're going to be dealing with 700 acres, 700 plus acres. I just wanted to show, we were talking yesterday for our patrons, that I do in fact have some things for GCPs, and so these will be getting used as well as we start walking into the larger properties where we might not see all the reference points. So these aren't for measurement or anything. These are to give me where the corners are going to be as we're going through each of the properties. So there's the two extras, and now we can pop on back. So once again, we're at that Doubtful Canyon. So just taking another look at it straight down, doing a shot similar to Jody for the new Captain America. Yeah, that kind of does look like that. I'll have to tell her that after. She'll get a kick out of it. So one of the other things, when you look at all the satellite maps and things, not a great level of detail usually. And let's go ahead and pull that the mission hub up again so we can just take a look at it. So there's the mission hub, and you know, where we're going to be doing that flight. And this is from a satellite image because this is on Litchi's mission hub. And now when we take a look at this one, a lot more detail. I mean, hey, you can see the neighbor's roof shingles going on here. Also, even from the elevation I was doing this one at, I was still able to see some of these boundary markers, which were just awesome. So that was a huge bonus for when we came back for doing the post-processing. It made it a lot easier on me to know what we needed to be displaying for the client. In addition to the stills that we were doing, we're also doing, so let's go over to Doubtful, and we also did one 360 shot per parcel here, doing them right from the center of the parcel. And we know that it was from the center of the parcel because of this marker right here, which had a really nice label on it that said, hey, it's the center of the property. So very nice of them to actually have these things labeled. Once again, even on the 360, we can see that other marker out there on that corner, so way out there. So the 360s really do give us that full coverage. Of course, realtors and builders also like to show off those stills to give people that feel for the property and, you know, where they're going to be abutting against other properties. So the 360s do a great job as well. Basically, what is happening with us as we're doing these things, what I'm finding is basically it's one battery per property. We're getting some stills. We don't hand over a million stills or anything here, but we do have to fly around, get ourselves set up, get the angles that we want, get the straight down shots when we want those, and then finally get the drone centered for doing the 360-degree images as well. And in the end, so it's working out to about a battery per property. So when I'm thinking about properties that clients want me to shoot, one of my thoughts is, you know, I'm gonna bring 4 to 5 batteries with me usually. So my intention normally, if we're going out and doing several of these at the same time, is to get about 3 or 4 of them done, you know, to hand over to the client within 24 to 48 hours. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and sometimes we're going to go out for a second view around, either because of the winds, or in the case of one of the other properties that we were looking at last week, the big issue was actually the number of construction vehicles all around the property. And there was a request when we set out to do these to try to minimize that. So so the last one that we're going back for today is that property that had a lot of additional construction going on. It wasn't a new house build. They were doing some kind of addition or something. So the particular turnaround that we were at was just full of vehicles. All right, let's take a look at the next one really quick. And so once again, for the folks who are on the Patreon channel, some of this is repetitive. But we do like to put some of this up for everybody on YouTube as well. So there's one more from Doubtful Canyon, and right off to the right-hand side here is actually the clubhouse for the golf course and that location. So, okay, let's get along to the next one. And here we are on the next one. So this is El Capitan. We just covered Doubtful. So one of the first things I did, center of the property, brought the drone up to like 320, 330 feet, did the shot down. And this is actually covering the entire property once again. So one of the things that we did note was it was a little harder to find some of the corners out here. The center marker was nice and big and obvious. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to pop them into the chat or pop them into the comments below. All right, so another take on this one. And so here is one of the boundary corners, very easy to see. So just, you know, right out there in the open and very easy to come across. There's another one hiding back here with the trees as well. Good morning, Roseanne. How are you today? Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I hope all's going well with you. And thanks for stopping in this morning. So on this particular one, once again, it was a little harder for me to find some of those corners. And that's one of the moments where I really do like having the 360s as well. And good morning, Chattanooga John, glad to see you here. So in the case of this one, we also did another 360 for it, and let's go find that for ourselves, shall we? So let's go over to El Capitan. Oh, and on this particular one, I've got my AZ drone logo up here. One of the things I had pointed out to folks yesterday on the Patreon meetup was that we use Kula for doing our 360s. And one of the things with Kula for sharing the links is they do have an MLS specific link to make sure that you're not leaving up your logos or anything, or your client's logos either, because MLS doesn't want us doing that. So clearly when I clicked on this one this morning for you guys, I didn't set it up with the MLS one. So once again, I just wanted to point out, so when we're at the property centers, I'm really loving this particular area as far as our flights and our work go, because there is the center marker. As you can tell, I'm a couple feet over from it, so I drifted just a little bit. But since we're not taking measurements or anything, you know, and we're not blocking all this out, it's still, it's okay by us. We made sure that the broker was happy with the images as well, so we've already shared them with him. We Dropboxed everything to him, but then we did a little extra thing, which you guys will be seeing momentarily. So just taking a look around this property, so this is the center point, and in talking to the broker, we were also talking about where the building is going on, and he said normally they are close to around those center points. So there is a neighbor right here, close to where the lines are, and then their driveway is going to be going up and out of there. I actually did a nice job of brushing the truck out of this one. When I zoom it in like this, you're probably saying to yourself, oh, I do see where the truck was. So those do bother me. I try to minimize the vehicles and things showing up as much as possible. But, at this location, let me spin around right here. So across the road here, there's another construction job going on. So, there is a lot of new building going out in the Williamson Valley area, which is part of Prescott, just north of Prescott. So oftentimes some of these sites that we're going to be shooting, we can't help but have some new builds going on in there. So there we go. And so for the folks, like I said, for everybody on the Patreon channel, sorry for being a little repetitive today, but I did want to, bring folks on regular YouTube up to speed. And I also forgot I've left this up down in the corner so that the Teachable and the Patreon channels are both up. We'll go ahead and minimize those now so that they're not sitting fully on your screen. While we were out, we were also asked by the broker to check up on a construction job, so with the builder that he knows and works with. So we did stop by and check that one out, and we did something a little extra. Wouldn't a vehicle help show the scale? It does, Ray, but oftentimes they really want a really nice clean look. Like in the instance of this one, so for everybody who's not familiar with some of our deliverables that we do, this is a demo deliverable page that I just whipped together after we were out there. So this wasn't one that we were flying for pay or anything. We were talking with the broker, and he said, hey, could you stop by and just get a couple snaps of this? He wanted to share them with the builder. So of course we went a little over and did a little extra for them as well. But so normally I know a lot of drone pilots will send their images via Dropbox or Google Drive or something with a set of instructions for the clients. Sometimes that's not the easiest thing, and for the client to just get a really quick view of everything you've provided them. So one of the things that we started doing, it's more than 2 years now. Wow. So I started doing these deliverable pages a little over 2 years ago now, is when I first started experimenting with them. So while we were out there, I did a quick experiment, just a quick orbit around the home that's in the middle of construction, and then a couple of still images as well. We didn't do an ortho mosaic on this one. And so the broker sent this along to the builder. The builder was thrilled by this, and the builder sent this along to the person who is the owner of the property. So they haven't been out in a while to see the property. So this was already a big hit, and we're already talking about some other build sites now and getting those build sites from the ground up, which is where I really want to be when I'm doing these things. I want to get that concrete pad pour. I want to get the whole process. And usually when people get in touch with me, they've already started, so I missed the concrete pour. Maybe I'm still getting the walls going up. But wherever our starting point is, that's where we start from. So on the Patreon Zoom yesterday, I was letting everyone know we're going to be doing a new project over on Patreon for the Patreon members. We're going to build a new website from scratch using WordPress and the X theme. And we're going to be using a site, we're going to be building a site all about client deliverables. So for the clients, and the clients can be the property owner, the construction group, the folks doing the selling. So we've got a lot of opportunities when we're doing these progression reports to meet the needs of multiple parties, not just the builder, not just the broker, not just the potential homeowner. And so we're going to start on that project. Actually, this next upcoming Sunday, our next Zoom live meeting for folks on the Patreon channel, that's where we're going to be doing it. And if you miss any of those, we do put them up for replay for patrons afterward. So we whipped this one together really quick, and I do mean really quick. and put a little bit of explanation in here. Since this isn't an official one, we were just explaining how these deliverable pages work. And in the end, what came together is 2 very quick 360s of the property and 1 home site video orbit. So this kind of stuff we're going to start covering together on the Patreon channel. So if you're not a patron already and you're interested in supporting this channel, sorry if I sound like I'm plugging it a bit, but this is going to be a really cool series, and we're going to take our time going through it because I've been asked by so many people on YouTube, hey, those drone deliverable reports you do, how are you doing those? What are you putting those together with? Now, one of the big things with doing these types of things, there's a ton of different ways to build web pages. We're going to be using WordPress. We're going to be using Xtheme. I can't do every single page builder out there, but you will get some ideas and inspiration for your own pages. And I will say WordPress is a pretty easy platform to work with, and it's fairly secure, especially if you're picking the right hosting provider. So we'll be talking about all those types of things as we're building a new website to house my client deliverables. And we'll be getting more into that later. And before we go from this one, so I know, once again, we got some patrons on here. Sorry for the repetitive nature of this, everybody. But just wanted to fill everyone else in on all the other things going on here. So just going to give you a quick one. We're not going to go through the whole video here, but I just did a very, very simple video orbit. And the reaction I got, both from the broker and from the builder, was awesome and amazing. They were thrilled by this. And this is such a simple thing to do. This particular orbit, we can replay over and over again. So over time, we can fly the same exact flight path. And in flying that same exact flight path, we can merge them together as a time lapse. So we also salt and peppered a couple of stills in here and there, just to let people get a moment where they're not rotating around that property. So there we go. And so this is all built into, so this YouTube presentation, and going forward, we're going to be using a Vimeo setup for the official client flights. But this is all built into our 360 Pano viewer. So we are looking at the north-facing side, and then we can jump over to the other side of the home. We even have a little bird flying through in here, so pretty cool. So scrolling it down. So this particular page, like I said, we whipped it together. So I was just giving some examples for the builder and for the broker. And this really caught their attention. I had shared some previous ones from my other jobs with them before, but never from one of their own job sites. And this really had a lot of impact for them and not a huge amount of time invested for us. So, and then the final thing I just showed them, hey, we can do the simple slideshows as well. And these pages can be highly customizable. So for all the patrons, look forward to this coming up. And I'm sure some bits and pieces will be coming out into the standard YouTube channel as well. All right, so I need to go look at my notepad now because I always do make note lists for myself. All right, so we took a look at the Hughes residence just now, and El Cap and Doubtful, and I'm going to do Chloe today. You got to see some of the images from last week. And before we move on, let's just take a quick look. These are award-winning photos. I know that. These are more about showing off the properties. And, we do get some nicer ones. It's time of day. It's where the sun is in the sky. Hey, when we're doing drone work, we've got, once we're up and out of the trees, we're working against some different exposures going on around the properties. Oh, and there's that center point again for that one. So I do love that they've marked these so well. At the job site that we went to this weekend that we couldn't fly, they were using the standard little wooden stakes with the little colored ribbons on them. Most of the ribbons were ripped off from the wind. So that was another thing we saw. Also getting a bird's eye view, really getting up there to give them an idea of the overall community is helpful as well. So still moving along, and then some straight top-down shots toward the center area once again. And once again, we did buff the vehicle out of here. Interesting, the driveway area is going to be really small and narrow, and the one that we're doing today is a really tight driveway as well. And so we'll share those next week. And let's see here. I just wanted to show you these markers again. So this was just a quickie throwaway shot from one of the 360s. These markers are really big and visible and just amazing. So like I said, after we were done with what our broker was looking for the day, he had us just do a stop by on this. So I had an extra battery available and I said, you know, why not? So I just did a couple stills. And I know we don't want to give our work away, but if we do an extra for our client here and there, they do remember it and they do find value in it. So if you share a little extra with them, you might sell an additional service to them. Maybe they didn't consider 360s and you put this little presentation together with one or two. That might be enough to push them over the edge to the additional service. So keep that in mind. All right, so we're just taking a look through a couple more. One of the shots that I didn't do was inside this U-shaped area. There's so much material in there, and you can see the crane right there. So this was a shot I kind of gave a pass on. I don't know if I should have or not. All right, let's arrow over again. And all right, so taking a look at the front of the building. This is a massive home for sure, without a doubt. So this is going to be a very, very big home. And even the broker said that to me when we let him know we were leaving the location. He says, huge place, isn't it? I was like, absolutely. So quite the build site. You can also see some of the other homes in the Talking Rock community as well. And you can also see there are some pretty great views from all of these locations. And then once again, there's the helipad, and then there's our markers. So going forward, even if we find their markers, we're going to be dropping these out. These will be easy enough to buff out. And I just really want to start making sure that when I'm giving this to the realtor or the builder or anything, that they've got great reference points that they can see. So we can give them a final edited one where we took these out, but we can also hand over the original DNG so that they can see where those markers are too. And so those would probably not be used in an online presentation, but good reference points for all the people we're working with. So, and you know, anything you can do to make your client's life easier, do it. All right, let's go back to the notes again, because I know the next one. All right, so I did want to talk about the outdoor temperatures and sunscreen. I jokingly put something up last week regarding the fact, note to self, sunscreen. So we are moving into the summer season here in Arizona. I know it's cooler up here than it is down in the Phoenix area, but the UV indexes are still really high. And someone, me, forgot to sunscreen last week, so I had a good burn on my arms and the back of my neck. So normally when I'm out on site, I will have a hat. I'm moving off camera for just a second, and I'm just grabbing. This might not be visible on the green screen. I don't know. This is one of my Tilly hats. So I absolutely love Tilly hats. I don't work for them. This helps, number one, shade things for when I'm looking on my screen. Number two, covers the back of my neck, covers my head and everything. And I don't want to go down a sad path or an upsetting path, but a friend of mine a couple of years ago had teased me about my Tilly hats while I was out doing my Airstream travels and things. And, you know, he was like, oh, that makes you look older, Rich. What are you doing with a hat like that? And he was a big, big outdoors enthusiast as well. And his partner called me up to tell me that he now is wearing Tilly hats too. And because he got diagnosed with skin cancer on the tops of both of his ears. I never knew that was even a thing. So, you know, that sad story. So he's got some Tilly hats now and he takes more precautions in the sun. And, you know, as drone operators and imaging folks, you know, you don't have to have a drone to be running around out on the property and taking still photos as well. And you're still out there and exposed. So don't forget the sunscreen, everybody, and hats. Seriously. That was such a strange story that happened to my friend. But, you know, he never picked on me again about my Tilly hats, and he's got his own collection of Tilly hats too. So when we go out on the site locations, we kind of look, you know, like desert folks. And which is why, by the way, I've been asked about these shirts. Yes, I have multiple tan ones and multiple white ones to keep cool for when I'm outside, you know, during the high sun and stuff. Corey, the cost on those GCPs, I can't remember right off the top of my head. Let me look over, let me move a screen here, because I did put their name up. Oh, also, over the weekend here, we also launched a new Discord channel for patrons. So if you guys want to get in on the Discord um, and you're a patron, there is a link on the Patreon channel to that. But let me double check over here. I gotta go to AZ Drone because I had that one set up. Okay, Corey, the name of these particular ones is Sky High Bullseye. I did order those. Good morning, Supersonic. Yes, on the sun protection. It is totally real. Roseanne, it's Jody was picking on me last week because I really burned my neck. I didn't think about it. We weren't going to be out there for the whole day. It's, you know, you're out there for 2 hours and you're spending some time in the truck, and then you spend a little time doing the flights. And you know, when I got back home, even with the collar up and stuff, not enough coverage. So the hat and the sunscreen's a total must. Jody found a nice one from Neutrogena that she really likes. I can't remember the name of it. But okay, let's grab Google Chrome really quick and let's go over to Amazon because I did order these on Amazon, and this was the Sky High Bulls. All right, let's see. No, that's not it, is it? Let's see, Sky High Bulls GCP. Absolutely, Sonic. Totally. I have no idea where that name is, Corey. You might have to do a little hunting around, or maybe that manufacturer isn't doing them now. Drone GCPs. Let's or yeah, drone target. GCP target. Let's see. All right, so there's some of the ground control points out there, so you can go through. I think I paid something like $69 for them. They were pretty darn reasonable, and you can find a lot of different styles of them, Corey. So it's basically a 10-pack. It's 1 through well, 0 through 9, and 9 times out of 10 you're not going to need to use all of them. That's why I put the picture of number 9 up, because it's still nice and clean. Let me scroll down here and see. All right, yeah, we've got a couple of drone targets. Let's just do drone target. It's been a while since I bought those. Drone target set, there we go. And once again, Amazon, you are not working with me this morning. Okay, so I'd say do a little hunting, Corey. I'll do a little extra hunting around. Maybe I can find it in my receipts for you. Sure thing, Supersonic. I will do that. Let me double check to see the other couple of. Oh yeah, so we've got those outdoor temperatures, and I did want to mention not only the sunscreen for all of us, but you know, keep track of your your batteries, especially during this hot season. As we're coming into it and we start seeing the 90s and 100s here. You don't want to start having battery issues. As many people have been on this channel with me for a while now, I had a whole bad batch of DJI batteries for the Mavic 2 Pro, a lot of swollen batteries, very frustrating because the batteries only had a 6-month warranty, not a year warranty, so I was stuck with a bunch of bad batteries, and yes, I did contact DJI. The other thing that I wanted to say about this, because I've got a couple of batteries that are boxed up in the LiPo bags, et cetera, that I need a place to recycle. So I wanted to know where everybody here is recycling their batteries. Now, the other year, Best Buy took several batteries from me, but recently visiting our local Best Buy, they don't have the battery recycling bins, and I don't think those are really the best locations for the LiPos. We do have a couple of battery stores here in town. Yes, actual battery stores with every type of battery out there. Both of the battery stores that I visited will not take the DJI LiPos. With that in mind, I wanted to ask folks here, you know, what service have you been using? Because I would like to dispose of these properly and, you know, not throw them in the garbage or anything. And I've read all the forums over, you know, from the past couple of years. I keep looking it up on a regular basis to see if anyone suggests other solutions. Everyone says to deplete those batteries, of course, run them down. We've got some people saying drop them in a bucket of salt water. Some other people saying not such a great idea. But what I haven't found is anyone saying this particular company, they're going to do this for you. They'll dispose of those batteries properly, and here's what the fee is, or if they just take them. So I would love it if anyone has found a great battery recycling outlet for their DJI and other drone batteries, because I've got several bad batteries boxed up and stored away, but they're still all swollen at the bottom. So I checked them recently, and all of them still are swelled, even with the power runway down on them. So I just want them out of the house. I don't want a fire hazard. So if you've got any suggestions, please let me know. And let me double check on my little notes to see, was that, yep, so battery recycling, there we go. So there's all the topics today. And next week, we'll actually be showing you some more videos and some more stills from today's job site. And then I will be flying Saturday's job that got pushed out. I'll be flying that on Wednesday. It looks like the best day. But because it's the season here, I'm just pulling up my Storm Radar app really quickly. What we're looking at right now, let's see here. So today, only 11 miles an hour where I'm at. So it's going to be windier out there. By the way, let me see. Drones Made Easy, DJI author. Okay, I know who they are. San Diego will take the old batteries. Okay, thanks, Roseanne. I'm going to mark that down and then go check them out afterward to see if I can ship to them from Arizona, because that would be great. I want to make sure they're disposed of properly. So anyways, Tuesday, I already have another booking. So tomorrow we're going to be doing some work with the Tiz Gallery. We're doing some voiceovers for their 360 tour, because we're doing an update to the tour because they've got a new big show starting at the end of this month. So we're actually going to have several of the artists come in to the studio. We're going to use the sound studio in the Elks building, and we're going to do some voiceovers with the artists talking about their art installation. So talk about something totally different than just the drone stuff. So Heat Index is a great app. Okay, I will check that one as well. And so yeah, tomorrow is out, and then Wednesday we're looking at 18, which means if I'm driving north out of town, it's probably going to be even windier. The one other thing I want to say, like looking at this house photo here, you can see, the trees aren't too much higher than the rooftops here. We don't have a lot of wind blockage, and when you go north of Granite Mountain, even if it's not a breezy day in town, you will find yourself in 25 mile an hour, 30 mile an hour gusts. So whatever we've got going on here, I always know it's worse out there. And then Thursday and Friday look terrible. So forecast of 20 here in town. So going out of town, I can already tell you it's going to be way too windy, and it actually shows that the blustery symbol on it as well. But yeah, that was one other thing that I was talking to another person about doing some of these properties. When you get north out of town, looking south to the views of Granite Mountain, there is a lot more wind because there's not as many windbreaks out there. So, and mountains do generate weather patterns. All right, so let's double check on this. So yeah, so next week we'll do some follow-ups. The other thing from the job that we pushed out on Saturday is there's going to be some video flight as well, which should be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to sharing that here, because the build site is so steep. The views off of it are absolutely incredible, but we're going to have to be picking several different launch positions to cover the 3 parcels that we're covering. Even though they're small, they're still extremely steep, but the house pads are already there. So we've got some good reference material with what's going to be important for that client to sell those lots. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap this one up. I've already got everything boxed up, so we're going to try again to get this final site on Chloe Drive squared away. That's the last thing that I need to deliver to those guys, and then we'll find out what the next set of parcels are. So I hope that this one was useful, even for the folks who were on yesterday's Zoom meeting, that maybe we've covered a little additional information here. And thanks, as always, for stopping in and hanging out. I look forward to doing these every Monday with all of you, and I hope the information we're sharing is useful and gives you some great ideas for the work that you're doing, whether it's the raw land sites, the build sites, the finished homes, any of your drone work, and also any of your stills work. By the way, while I am with the folks at the TIS Gallery tomorrow, Jody is going to be a couple hours across the state shooting a RV resort that one of our regular clients recently purchased. So hooray, we're finally getting into the busy season. This spring was a little spooky with how slow things started to feel. So it's nice to be busy again. So she'll be running around, I'll be running around, and then we'll see what other flights are coming up this week. So thanks again for stopping in. As always, please leave your questions and comments below. We do get to them. And if you have any other direct questions or anything, you can always go to azdrone.net and send me a contact from the contact form. I'm always happy to have a conversation with all of you. Roseanne, you're absolutely welcome. And it's good to see you again. I remember you popped into a couple other videos previously, so glad you had a little time this morning. All right, everyone, we'll see you again next week. Fly safe, have fun, and yeah, sunscreen and Tilly hats. Don't forget them. We'll see you all again real soon. And so let's go ahead and we'll end that stream. Bruce, you're welcome. Glad to have you guys in this morning. End the stream.